folks. Today I'd like to speak to you about my book, which is called So You Want to Be a Flow Arts Performer. I'm just going to give you the informal, off-the-top summary of each of the topics. I may go totally different from what's in the book. I may hit it as a bullseye. Either way, I just wanted to speak from the heart and the mind and share what I know about performing as a flow artist and make sure you know what it takes to become a top performer, not just what it takes to maintain that. A large theme that I uncovered in the writing of this book and creating of this content is that the flow artists who are doing really well, who are headlining and teaching at flow festivals, who are traveling, making $500 a gig multiple times a week, those artists rarely describe what it took to get there. They pretty much describe what it takes to stay at a top level. Totally different advice. What I'm going to give you is going to be how to get started and become an intermediate performer. So let's jump right into it. Topic number one is you don't need a perfect social media profile. My biggest paying gig was in Florida. It was around 12 grand at the end of the year. Twice a week, $200 in cash, guaranteed pay. Huge opportunity, fire shows in front of a huge crowd. I had all the freedom. I didn't get to pick the music, but I did get to pick the props, the timing, the costumes, etc. I got to bring my friends. It was wonderful. I got that opportunity from Craigslist. I wasn't even responding to an ad. I was the one who put out the ad. I just put, hey, I'm a fire performer. Hit me up if you want to hire me. And guess what? They did, and it was a huge opportunity. I didn't even have social media at the time. I just had sales skills and an entrepreneurial spirit. So if you're like me, don't spend the beginning part of your journey making that perfect social media profile. Do sales activities. Call promoters, call old folks' homes, call schools. Try to talk to the people who make decisions about events. Don't try to make a perfectly curated highlight reel of your best tricks that says, DM me for bookings. That works sometimes, but way less than outreach does. So once again, just simple summary. You don't need a perfect social media profile to get booked as a flow arts performer. You need the ability to speak to decision makers over the phone. Okay, topic number two is online lead generators. The three main ones are GigSalad, The Bash, and Bark.com. Now, GigSalad is by far the best, and the premium version is where you should put all your marketing dollars. Why? Because you get the client's phone number directly. I have gotten so many gigs because I was the first to respond and I just called them. Once again, hearkening back to topic one, you don't need a perfect social media profile. You just need a working phone. So when you get their direct line, call them and text them right away and try to convert right then and there. What a lot of flow artists do is they kind of put off the one-to-one conversation. I recommend just getting in touch with these people as fast as possible. And by these people, I mean the clients, right? The decision makers, the people with money who want to hire an entertainer. Get in contact with them ASAP. Don't try to funnel them to your page. Go meet them where they're at. If they're ready to buy, that's when you need to convert into a contract. The second website is The Bash. Very similar to GigSalad, depending on the area and the search engine optimization of that geography, they'll prioritize one over the other because most people just hop on Google and say, hey, I want to hire an entertainer, and it'll pull up one of those websites. Whichever website pays more for the SEO in that area is going to be what it chooses. So I recommend having a profile on The Bash as well. Now for GigSalad and The Bash, make sure you set up text alerts. It'll pop up as a text in your phone that says new lead from The Bash or new lead from GigSalad. You just click a link, it takes you to the lead. It'll give all the information, who, what, when, where, why. And that as soon as you get that text, you reach out to the lead and you try to convert right then and there. The final lead generating website is called Bark.com. This is by far the most expensive because you pay per lead and it's the most competitive, but it also has the highest close rate in certain areas. Again, a lot of this is geography dependent. So the thing is, GigSalad and The Bash actually have fire entertainment and sometimes LED entertainment as a category. Bark does not, but those are all leads that are having events, whether it's a school dance or a wedding or a corporate function. That's where you just hit them up with sales skills and an entrepreneurial spirit and say, hey, look, you're having an event. You should have a flow arts performer there. And it's a lot harder to convert those because they're like, what? What's flow arts? They don't even know what it is, to be honest. But if you're good at sales, you can convert. So to summarize sections 1 and 2, you're not going to get clients when you're starting this journey from your social media profile. You're going to get it from lead generating websites where those folks are ready to buy. You got to be the first one to contact them too. That's super important. Be the first one in the door, because a lot of times the event's coming up and they just want to book someone and get it over with. Anyway, let's move on to section 3, which is that printed materials are underrated. Now here's my business card. This is what I use. It's a business card. Handing somebody a business card shows that you're way more, honestly, professional and prepared and ready to perform. I also do have flyers that have a little promo on them that's bigger and a little bit more colorful. And there's just something about handing somebody something. What I used to do in B2B sales, business to business sales, trying to get service contracts, I would hand them a pen, I would hand them a screwdriver, a flashlight, something tangible, because the way the human mind works, when you hand somebody something, they remember it more. And if you have a really beautiful business card, right? Like this one's holographic, they're going to remember it. It's shiny. We're not as intelligent of a species as we think. You hand them something shiny and cool, they're going to remember it. So I just tell people printed materials are underrated. Yes, highlight reels are good, but what's better is planning a route where, I don't know, on your way home from work or on your day off, you go around and you hit 10 spots and you physically hand them a business card. Bonus points if you also hand them a flyer that has more information. Now, I go to Vistaprint. That's where I order all my printed materials. They make beautiful flyers. You can go on ChatGPT, Canva, even on Vistaprint. They have native templates on there. Create a beautiful template and go hand it to someone. Go shake their hand, right? Printed materials will wind up sitting on their desk, especially if you go find the event coordinator's desk and that printed material ends up on their desk. It's way more effective than an email. It's physically sitting there on their desk and they have to choose to pick it up and throw it away. The act of throwing away a nice holographic business card or a nice flyer, it's harder for them to fathom throwing away a physical thing than it is to just delete an email. So leverage that. Okay, the fourth topic is that Muggles don't know what flow arts are. So let's say you do these super sick Boo Gang flow arts shows and you want to do it at old folks' homes or schools or weddings. I wouldn't recommend calling the client and saying, hey, I want to do a Boo Gang flow arts show. There's just so much domain-specific vocabulary in that they're not going to relate to it. So what I recommend saying is, I'm a dancer, or I'm a performer, or I'm a fire spinner. Use words that they can connect to and that they probably already know. And then from there you say, oh yeah, actually what I do is called flow arts. And I have a prop that I use, a performance prop called a Boo Gang. I know it's a silly name. It's basically like a curved baton. And then you go from there and explain what it is. Yes, Muggles know what juggling is, but they sort of don't know what spinning is a lot of the time. They think it's like a Hawaiian or Polynesian thing, and they imagine grass skirts and like really high tosses. They imagine like color guard style baton twirling. They rarely understand that it's its own culture. So come up with other ways to say flow arts if you can. It's going to help you close more gigs. The fifth topic is a little bit controversial, but hear me out. I say you should not be ashamed to perform for free at the beginning of your journey, of course. After a while, in your 30s, if you've been doing this for 10 years, it is a bummer, but it's not unheard of. So the fifth topic is a little bit controversial, and that is my claim, my encouragement. Okay. So the fifth topic is that you should not be ashamed to perform for free. Even the best of us here in Portland do some free shows every year. Now you can exchange it for a ticket or a ticket to the event, a food voucher, you get free media out of it. I do some shows where the pictures I get from the show and the entrance to the event to me is worth like $200 to $500 each time. To me, it's worth it. And at the beginning of your journey, you're not going to get paid. This is a pretty deep topic, so I'm open to your interpretation, but from 10 years of sales, free samples are an extremely important part to getting your foot into the industry, to getting your foot in the door. Okay, the biggest deal I ever closed was $250,000 annualized. It was selling from a Fortune 500 company to a ceramics manufacturer. And for a year straight, I gave them free samples of a diamond abrasive. So I was literally giving them free diamonds. And one day I checked my sales numbers and I was like, whoa, they placed an $80,000 order. And over the course of the year, they spent over $220,000 with us. It was free samples for a year. They had to try it for themselves. They had to see if that product worked. You go to Costco, what are they doing every day? Free samples. Yes, that's a loss leader. They're losing money. And they are out competing their competition in the process. Entertainment is the same as these other industries. You have to do a couple free shows to get footage of yourself doing the thing to use to book yourself for a paid one. Now, a lot of my gigs at the beginning, they wanted to pay me, and I was like, oh no, I'm not professional, don't take it. If they want to pay you, absolutely practice getting paid. Practice writing an invoice, practice taking a credit card, practice setting up a professional Venmo or whatever payment type you choose. You know, the Stripe plug-in to the bottom of your phone and setting up your bank to take credit cards. That's all great. I recommend doing that early on. However, payment is not what's important. The most important thing is that you get reviews and that you get experience and that you get photos and videos. I hate to be blunt, but I think there's a lot of gatekeeping. I think that a lot of performers are afraid of losing their gigs to other artists who are doing it for free. Now, this is valid. You don't want people to come in and ruin flow arts for all the muggles, and a free performer is not going to be as good as a paid one typically. But if you're hungry, dude, screw it. I mean, just go for it. Get that stage time. How else are you supposed to get stage time other than practicing? That's what I don't get about these top elite performers is they say not to perform for free, but they always did when they got started. And most of us do free gigs throughout the year, so it's a little hypocritical. You know, Drex has a whole take on this. I do like his take on it. I mean, you kind of water down the market, but I think that that's kind of a scarcity mindset. The analogy I always make is Ferrari doesn't get mad at Honda for selling cheap cars. If you're a Ferrari flow arts performer, you shouldn't be getting mad at a Honda flow arts performer, because if they take your gig from you, then that client actually wanted a Honda anyway. Like it or not, we live in a capitalist society, and that's a very competitive, society. I don't know what to tell you. I don't like it. I wish that all our hard work translated to payouts every time, but it doesn't. I mean, keeping the client happy is super important. So if you're gouging them with a $1,000 show and somebody sweeps in and takes it for $200, welcome to capitalism. And I hate saying those words, but I just want to prepare you for when you're getting started, you're going to get hate if you do free shows and someone finds out about it. But, if you want to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs. And I always get yelled at for sharing this information, but I'm just saying the quiet part out loud. Most of us did it. I don't really do it that much anymore. And when I do, I don't feel like I'm taking the opportunity from someone else. Perhaps I am, but it's just the gritty underbelly of this industry. You have to do a free few shows to get the experience, to get the reviews, and to get the media. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on to topic 6, which is that you need to learn to dance to all musical genres. Oh boy. A lot of flow artists, they just want to dance to EDM. And I've been really, really tracking the songs that flow artists perform to in front of Muggles. Remember, once you're established, you can pick your own music and you can be a little more counterculture with it. But when you first get started, you need to have a playlist of pop music that kids and boomers recognize that you have choreography to. I'm sorry, but they don't want to listen to Tipper. They don't want to listen to Subtronics. Most of our clients don't. Frankly, a lot of them are conservative and they like country and rock and pop. And if you absolutely hate those genres and you just refuse to perform to them, you will not make it as a performer in the professional space. Now, perhaps you get so good that you can only do gigs with music that you want to do, but along your journey as a typical beginner, you're going to have to perform to like country, pop music, rock music, sometimes like metal. I've performed to horrible dubstep songs that I didn't like, but I knew it was a step in the journey towards self-actualization. So I'm not saying play yacht rock in your living room and like really get into it, but just have a couple songs of each genre. I mean, the sad reality about weddings is I DJ a lot of weddings and it's a lot of country music. Conservative people are the ones who get married. Liberal people just don't get married as much. So knowing the genres that keep those clients happy and knowing some of the lyrics and some of the dance steps and some of the artists' names is going to actually secure you more gigs. Furthermore, like all gigs have a thing you don't like about them. There's never going to be a perfect gig. It's super rare that I get to pick the costume, the music, the time, and the prop. Usually I'm kind of a puzzle piece in the bigger scheme. Now, that's for the good paying gigs. For the low paying gigs, you wear what you want, you flow to the DJs you want. You kind of have to pick or choose. If you're going to be a professional, you absolutely have to learn to dance to all musical genres. All different paces, all different styles, lyrical, instrumental. You should have a playlist for yourself so that when they say, yeah, it's a country wedding, you got any country songs, you at least have one that you kind of like. Anyway, the next topic is that most flow arts gigs don't pay well when you're getting started. You look at the heavy hitters, they are making good money, but the amount of work that they put in and the time spent, you can't even fathom it. You have no idea what it took for them to get $1,000 gig. And I will talk to you about that. I have booked a $3,000 gig before, but it's not what you think. So let's look at those low paying gigs, right? Clients scoff at $500 fire dancers. Unless you're a private gig in a bougie neighborhood, unless they already know you, unless they've hired a fire performer before, they're going to say a 15-minute set for $400. Sorry, it's not in the budget. But then they'll go spend $2,500 on catering. They'll go spend $3,000 on the bar. They'll go spend $4,000 on a wedding dress. The thing is, those are all things that people know about. And like I mentioned, most Muggles do not know what flow arts are. So it's hard to charge top dollar for something when they don't know what it is. I think at one point I calculated my average payout in my first 5 years of performing was like $150, maybe $200. And some people laugh at me, but I don't really care what they think. I do it for the love of the game, and making even enough to break even was always enough for me. I feel like a lot of people hear online, oh, I don't leave the house for less than $500. That's not true. I'm telling you straight up, nobody's making $500 a gig when they first start. And furthermore, even once you get going, it's pretty rare to do that. Now, fairs, really, really big variety shows, like the highlights, the best flow artists, they are getting that pay. But at the beginning of their journey, they're averaging $100, $200, $300. Maybe in LA, maybe in New York, Chicago, where you can like find huge promoters that have that budget, yes, but Portland, Tacoma, like Oakland, I'm trying to think, these more blue collar cities, these private gigs, they just don't have the budget for that. So keep your expectations low. Just be happy to get there. Now, if you're stuck, it means one of a couple things. If you're stuck at that $100 mark, that's all you can get. You do need to learn how to sell a price increase. And there's a couple different ways to do that. I'm not going to go into the deep business tactics of how to sell a price increase, but you do need to beat inflation. I mean, you do need to eventually charge more. But when you first start, I mean, these gigs just aren't going to pay well. They really aren't. I wish they did, but I would say your first year charge $100. Your second year try to charge $150. Third year try to charge $250 and just slowly raise your way up. No matter how good you are at spinning props in your living room, the client doesn't know what flow arts are. They don't know if you're safe. They don't really see all those details. They just see this kind of funky, exotic thing that they want to bring in and they want to dabble if it's their first event. So I'm sorry, I don't feel like I explained this very well, but just to really, really hone in and say it, most flow arts gigs do not pay well when you're getting started. Okay, section 8, embrace support roles for years. What I'm trying to communicate to a lot of beginners is like, you're not the star of the show. Like, it takes years to become the star of the show. I don't know why people have such a big ego. We're such a welcoming community. We're all about diversity. But then we have this huge ego when it comes to being a flow arts performer. Well, maybe the loud 10 to 20% does. Most of us are pretty cool and chill, but there are some artists who think they're like this amazing thing just by themselves. They think that their hooping, poise spinning, juggling is just God's gift to the universe. We all are part of a team. And if you don't have that mentality, you're kind of a toxic drain. Oh, if they didn't have your music right, you freak out. Or if you have to wear a costume you don't like, you freak out. Or if you have to spin a prop you don't like, you freak out. That's inappropriate. You have to think of your role as a flow arts performer as a support role the majority of the time. Like at a rave, you're supporting the DJ and you're supporting the promoter to entertain the people who paid for the tickets for the show. You're an entertainer. You're not like, Beyonce or Keith Urban. You're not like the headliner. You're the cherry on top. It's a very subtle mentality shift, but just think of yourself you're in a support role. And let's say you're not booking gigs, right? Going back to some of my earlier advice, let's just list all the stuff. Offer to carry things, bring people water, offer to film people, cheer for people, hold the door, help, I don't even know, just help be a fire safety. Help people as a support role, and through reciprocity, they will put you on. Spinning things in circles is not really the goal. The goal is to create a cohesive team that puts on a smooth and enjoyable show and a profitable show for everybody. I have seen a lot of artists that get this inherently in Portland because it's a blue-collar city. Not a lot of us make a lot of money doing this, and we just are there to have a good time. It's our chance to unwind, give our ego something to be proud about, challenge ourselves, be professional, and then party with like-minded people, right? And we like the attention and validation. We're all supporting each other. We're not each our own island. We're kind of a big continent together. We're part of putting on a better show. So just to be very clear, what the support roles you should fulfill are is show up early to the gig, help people carry things, be a fire safety for free, literally bring a fire blanket and like Kevlar gloves and just support them in safety, bring a tripod and offer to film people and get their email and send them high quality 4K footage and even edit it for them. You're supporting them. Dude, I drive a beater van. I offer to carry equipment for people to gigs. I offer to pick people up, drop them off. I did everything I could. Even after I was 10 years deep of performing, I still knew that support roles are important. 2 days from now, I'm safetying for a troupe. I'm not getting paid. It's going to be raining. I don't care. I want to support the arts, and that's why people hire me. I'm part of a team. I'm part of a community. I'm part of a movement. I'm not just Troy to the G trying to put himself on. That is not how the flow arts community works. Support others, and eventually you'll get a chance to be supported by them. Okay, topic number 9 is you won't get the gig when you want it. This one is very simply summarized as you got to be patient in this game. What's kind of a bummer is that some people live in an area where opportunities are few and far between. Say if you're in a rural area, you kind of have to wait longer because you're not able to hit up as many events to be a support role. So yeah, topics 8 and 9, support roles and patience, they really go together because let's just take, for example, something like Oregon Country Fair, one of the biggest fire shows in the area. I had to prove myself with technical skill, reliability, my ability to curate media, my ability to support others, my ability to be sober, and my love of the Oregon Country Fair community before I was asked to join. It's one of my favorite gigs that I do every year. It's huge, it's fun, it's silly, the music's loud, get to meet a bunch of other entertainers, and I didn't get it the first year I wanted it. Take something like a Flow Arts Institute event for another example. You kind of have to go to those events and support other artists and be seen there and be seen as a good spinner in the fire circle and during the day and interacting with others before people recognize your name or your brand. Say you're ready to perform in 2026. You might not get the gig you want until 2029. It might be 3 years of showing up, spending money, spending time, and supporting others before you get it. I see a lot of new artists are impatient and frustrated when they don't understand how long this game takes to grow roots. There's a lot of gatekeeping because the pay is not good, and for those who rely on this, allowing new people in is risky and it messes with their income. This is kind of a tangent, but I try to work a good corporate job so that I can afford to be patient, if that makes sense. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to work on my patience as though it's a juggling pattern. I am happy to see other people succeed for years at an event where I deserve that stage, right? I don't actually deserve it. You never deserve it until the whole team agrees that you do. So, long story short, you're not going to get the gig when you want it. So, think in terms of like 2 to 5 year increments. If you're not willing to go to that gig for a couple years before you perform at it, that's a little bit of an unhealthy mentality. And I encourage you to open your mind to being a participant or a support role before you get that ego boost from being a performer. Okay, the last topic is very specific. It's about marketing photos. My claim is that the best marketing photos involve crowds. What is the bandwagon? The bandwagon is a beautiful thing. It is, simply put, that people want what other people want. And our clients are no exception, right? If a client sees you in front of a crowd, especially if someone in that crowd is like cheering, they want their crowd or their congregation to have that same emotion. A lot of times, clients aren't actually looking at the performer in the photos. A lot of times, they're actually looking at the crowd's reaction. So some subtle ways you can leverage this is you can go to a stage when there's no show and just get pictures of you taken on the stage. So it looks like you're doing a stage act because implied in that setting is that there's people from the perspective of the camera, there's a crowd watching you. The best is to get somebody to take videos of you and photos where there's actually the crowd in it, where it's focused on you, but you can see that there's a bunch of people watching you. In today's economy, attention is value. So if you can show that you're able to capture attention and make people feel inspired and happy, that's actually what the client cares about. They don't care about your technical skill. They care that the crowd that they bring, their paid customers, enjoy the overall experience that venue offers. So that's a short one. I hope you enjoyed that. We're pushing 30 minutes here, so I'm just going to go back over the chapter topics of my book, Flow Wisdom 1, so you want to be a flow arts performer, and the overall themes, so you can reflect on these. First, we talked about you don't need a perfect social media profile. You need sales skills. Second, we talked about GigSalad, The Bash, and Bark.com so that you can start booking gigs for yourself. talking to clients directly. Third, we talked about printed materials and how handing it to someone is more effective than using an email or a link to your Instagram reel. Fourth, we talked about how Muggles don't know what flow arts are, and how if you use words like poi, boogang, doubles, even using the word staff can be kind of confusing. So I encourage you to use words like fire dancer or performer, a dance performance, or circus performer, so that the Muggle client can understand and connect to what you're saying. From there, you branch into domain-specific vocabulary like boogang or double staff. Fifth, we talked about why you shouldn't be ashamed to perform for free at the beginning of your journey. Sixth, we discussed how knowing songs from all musical genres will give you the confidence and muscle memory you need to do really well at some of your early gigs, such as a country wedding. Seventh, we talked about the reality of the pay you can expect in your first 5 years of performing. Maybe you get lucky and you're in a big city where these clients have budgets, but for the most part, since these clients don't know what flow arts are, they spend like $100 to $300 on flow arts performers. Eighth, we discussed support roles and how you should fulfill support roles for sometimes 3 years before you're ever considered to be a performer, and that's okay. Learn to enjoy being a part of a community, not just the spectacle in it. Ninth, we talked about the patience required to get a good gig, kind of the same as number 8, embracing support roles, but honestly, I had to wait a long time before I got the gigs that I really liked. I had to do gigs I wasn't super crazy about for a long time, and so will you. That's part of the game. And finally, we discussed how the best marketing photos involve crowds because of the bandwagon effect. If you can prove to your client that crowds enjoy your act, that's more valuable than doing an amazing trick. I would love to talk to you guys about your early days of performing, so feel free to reach out and we can discuss how to get you to the next step. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon.